It's another bright but cold morning. English is an interesting language, and I want to say this. I fell in love with English through reading. I do a lot of reading. It started off with the newspapers, novels, although I'm not into novels that much. Now, for those who are asking me how to perfect their understanding or their mastery of the English language, I would say this. You need to practice not just speaking, but also reading. Reading leads to speaking. When you read, you get the content for speaking. A colleague of mine asked me about the different papers we have in English. Now, the authors of these books have not paid me to advertise them, so I'll not be showing you what. I'll only read what is contained in. To begin with, I'm a senior examiner, English Paper 2. Although having taught some of the best schools in the country, performing schools, I've been in a school where the school did not just turn out to be number one in the country, but the English language was the best performed for 3-4 consecutive years. And with that background, I can say without fear of contradiction that I am an authority in the English language. When it comes to the Form 4 classes, that is high school in Kenya, we have 3 papers, Paper 1, Paper 2, Paper 3. So allow me to quickly take you through what Paper 1 is all about. Paper 1 has 3 sections. We have the functional writing, question 1, which is out of 20 marks. We have question 2, cloze test, which is out of 10 marks. And question 3, we have oral skills, which is out of 30 marks. So Paper 1 has a total of 60 marks. Paper 2 has a total of 80 marks. Paper 3 has a total of 60 marks. So the total is 200. How do we get the percentage? We divide the 200 by 2, we get the percentage out of 100. So allow me to take you very briefly through Paper 1. I always tell teachers of English, students, that Paper 1 is all about common sense and following instructions. That's all. Common sense and following instructions. I've already mentioned that question 1 is about functional writing. Students are expected to do writing, and the writing includes the following. Allow me just to read out some of the writings that a student is expected to have mastered. In Form 1, a student should have mastered a shopping list, a packing list, a diary. By the time they get to Form 2, they should write a personal journal. A condolence note is in Form 3. A thank you note in Form 3. Congratulatory note is in Form 3. A questionnaire is in Form 4. Telephone messages, that is Form 2 work. Questionnaires, I've already mentioned that. Advertisements, an advertisement, not an advertisement. An advertisement is in Form 2. Invitation card, Form 3. Invitation card, Form 2. A memoranda, Form 3 work. Notification of a meeting, agenda of a meeting, minutes, that is Form 3 work. We have a recipe. Recipe is Form 4 work. Emails are in Form 4. Facsimile or fax, that is Form 4 work, but it's no longer in use. So any teacher teaching faxes or telegrams, you're wasting time. They're no longer in use. We have gone into technology. Letter writing, informal letters, Form 1. Formal letters, from job application letter, Form 2 work. Declining an invitation, that is Form 2 work. Letters of request, letters of inquiry, Form 3, Form 4 work. We have a letter to the editor, Form 4 work. Giving directions is Form 2 work. Posters, Form 2 work. Public notice, Form 1 work. Reminders, Form 3 work. Autobiography, biography, that is Form 2 work. Synopsis, Form 3 work, when students are being introduced to set books. Book review, that is Form 4 work. Speeches, Form 3 work. Report writing is Form 3 work. Curriculum CV, that is Form 4 work. To-do list, that is a reminder, Form 3 work. Filling in forms, Form 2 work. A telegram, that is Form 4 work. I've told you it's out of the market completely, and teachers of English need to update themselves with the latest in the English language. We have inventory. Inventory is Form 4 work, Form 1 work, sorry. So I'll be delving deep into each one of these in subsequent videos. And before I move on to talk about what I wanted to talk about, kindly, I'll be sharing my YouTube channel. I don't charge for my TikTok videos, but then subscribing to my YouTube channel will help me grow, and I guess that will be the best gift you can give me as my follower. So, question 1 out of 20 marks, what I've read are some of the sample writings that a student can be asked to write about. Now, what do we look out for when marking paper 1? Question 1 out of 20 marks. We are interested in what we call the format. If it's a friendly letter, does it have one address? Does it have what we call it? Okay, dear sir, madam, we call that salutation. Does it have a body? Is the language friendly? You know, has it been signed off? Your friend, your mom, your brother, plus the name. So the format alone, out of 20 marks, the format currently by KCSE marking standards is 6 marks. That is now the format. Does it have the different sections? Number 2, we are interested in the content. If it's a friendly letter, does it address what has been mentioned? Like a student has transferred to a new school and is supposed to be writing to students in the former school, telling them about the experience in the new school. So has the different the different kinds of information requested by the examiner taken care of? Have you greeted the person you're talking to? Have you told them the reason for writing? Have you mentioned the different sections? So what am I trying to say? If a student can answer or can respond appropriately to the expectations of the examiner, then that is content. Again, we mark out of 6. The remaining 8 marks, we get them from what we call language. Language has nothing to do with the spellings. Language has nothing to do with the handwriting. Language has nothing to do with font size and what have you. Language, marks for language depend on what a student scores in the content and in the content. For example, if the student gets all the 6 marks in the content, a teacher is encouraged to give as many as 8 out of 8 marks in the language. So we stopped rewarding mediocrity. A student with a very good handwriting but written nothing gets a 0 in the language. But a student may not have a very good handwriting, may not have the writing may not be attractive, but the student has the content, what we are looking out for. This student deserves an 8 in the language. That is what I have to say. That is not to say that we discourage good handwriting, we discourage correct spellings, we discourage paragraphing. No. What I'm trying to say is we are trying as much as possible to make sure that it's getting really hot. We are trying as much as possible to make sure that students get marks that they deserve. Question 2. Out of 10 marks, we have what we call a Cloze test. The Cloze test is out of 10 marks. It's a passage with gaps. I've always been asked, how do we go about this? Encourage students to read. Those who love reading score very well with the Cloze test. So what do you need? You're not given answers. It's upon the student to read through the passage and guess what the blank space are all about. So, and that, I repeat, can only happen if a student is reading and reading variety. I encourage newspapers because a newspaper covers politics, a newspaper covers national news, a newspaper covers disasters like floods, a newspaper will cover accidents, a newspaper will cover obituary, death, a newspaper will cover all information. Let me say anything under the earth, on the earth, under the skies, from transport, agriculture, IT, and everything else. So a student who reads newspapers, for example, is rich in vocabulary, has a lot. When you're given a chance to speak, you have enough vocabulary to express yourself in the best manner possible. Personally, I read papers like every day. I think probably for being in the city, accessing newspapers, I prefer the hard copies. I read what is online too, which is like in real time. So we expect a student to answer, respond to the blank spaces. And how do we do it? We mark not just the correct answers, but they should be correctly punctuated. If a dash is in the middle of a sentence, it must start with a small letter, the answer. If a dash is at the beginning of a sentence, the student must start the answer with a capital letter. We are looking at the spellings. We mark grammar like seriously. Lastly, the third section, we call it oral skills. For oral skills, I want to say this. It's multifaceted. A student has several areas to cover. For example, a student may be given a poem and you're asked to identify the sound patterns. Not just identify, but also illustrate. So we are checking the student's mastery of sound patterns, the importance. We are looking at how to say a line, how to perform a line. Then we also check on other areas like we are interested in homophones, words that sound the same. We are interested in silent letters. You may be given words and you're told to identify the silent letters. So you can either underline the letters. If you're told to indicate, underline the letters or simply set them aside. Have a dash after the word and then just the letter. Do not put the letter in 2 slashes because that becomes a sound. We don't mark such. Some students want to prove to the examiner that they know so much about sounds, and that's how things go wrong. Interestingly, the bright students in English don't score very well in English. You find a student has all A's except English with a B plus or B minus, simply because bright students are perfectionists. They want to prove to the examiner that, they're having it right, but sometimes they overdo it. Still on question 3, which is out of 30 marks, section 3, that is all about oral skills. We're also testing minimal pairs. You're given a word, and you need to give another word that has probably the same word, except for one consonant sound, like pet and bet. You find that the same word, except for B and P, which are minimal, which are minimal in nature. Then we have long. We may be tested on long vowel sounds, short vowel sounds. You're given words and you're told to identify the odd one out. Probably we are testing the long and the short. Look at these words. They have the same letters but different pronunciation. We say book, 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 not book with a double O. But then we say boot, double O, boot, the ones that women wear. We also have good, short, double O but short, good. Then we have, quite food, F-double-O-D. The double O is pronounced the long oo sound. So we need to take note of that. Diphthongs, words where the tongue glides from one vowel sound to another. We are also testing consonant sounds. We are testing stress on words, stress on sentences, stress on words. Like, for example, everyone says technology, but we say technology. So the students must not just master, but learn how to pronounce words correctly. I read a lot, and my reading has made stress come automatically. When I read a word, I know which part should be stressed. Is it the first, the second, or the third syllable, without necessarily having to remember that this is a noun or a verb. I can just look at the word and I already form the correct stress in my mind. We have intonation. During speech, the tongue, during speech, the voice may either fall towards the end or rise towards the end. For example, WH questions, who are you? We ask, who are you? We don't ask, who are you? Who are you? It's a falling intonation. Yes, no questions like, are you a student? We ask, are you a student? Are you a student? We don't ask, are you a student? It's, are you a student? Yes, no questions take a rising intonation. We have etiquette, polite interruption, turn taking, paying attention, polite expressions commonly used in English. These ones are tested in dialogue. You're given a dialogue with a what you call breach in etiquette. There's a breakdown in communication. So what a student needs to do is to identify instances where someone interrupted, someone used language that is uncouth, someone did not return greetings, someone is asked a question, does not respond. We have greetings. How do we greet? We have telephone etiquette. Yeah, like you should not shout in a language that is not comprehensible to others. Formal introductions, informal introductions, self-introduction, performance. We have things like verbal and non-verbal cues in communication, which we have to take care of. Then, yeah, attitude, tone, and mood. Very important when it comes to poetry, when it comes to speech, when it comes to novels. Then you have other areas that we students are expected to master. By now in Form 4, teachers should already be going through the following. Like now, students should be well versed with what is involved in a debate, okay? What is involved in interviews, what should be done before, during, and after the interview. Public speaking, what is expected. Group discussions, roles of the chairperson, roles of the members, roles of the secretary, okay? These are things that have to be really taken care of. Then we have giving directions. Yeah, what should to take note of. We talk about landmarks, talk about approximate time, approximate distance. We have speech delivery. What is expected of you when delivering a speech? How do you get the attention of your listeners? Then we also have poor reading habits. Yeah, how do you take care of that? That is still part of question 3 of paper 1. Now, on this part, let me say this. These are all possible areas that can be tested. But due to the limited space and time and number of marks involved, not everything will be tested. But a teacher is expected to have taken the students through all this. We also have negotiation skills. Students should know what informs negotiation skills, what are the expectations, etc. Personal distance, how close should you be next to a person? Okay, although there are also factors that determine that. Social public distance, reading habits, etc. So I talked about dialogue. A student may also be asked to either write a dialogue involving a policeman, the school principal, and the student himself or herself. Probably there's something that came up. A student may also be given a dialogue with blank spaces. So the students, it is the student's responsibility to read through the dialogue and decide which part should be, what to fill in the gaps. You can also have a complete dialogue and you are expected to decide what exactly maybe the breaches in etiquette. So I hope this will be enough to help the student, the teacher, to actually prepare well for English Paper 1. It's about communication. Kindly go to my YouTube channel, Mwalimu Arabu Adede. I'll be sharing it on my screen. I'll share more videos there. Learn something. Subscribe, like, comment. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, welcome to Upper Hill area.